common tropes in action stories is the story of a hero rising up. Due to its prominence, there are many different examples of it in literature, film, and theater. Some are good, but others are not so good. But often, when a story is written well, it's hard to get invested when you have seen the story play out so many times just with a different coat of paint. But the film that follows this simple trope and does it perfectly is Disney's Hercules, and that's why I'm dressed up as him. Hercules is one of the more forgotten films of the Disney Renaissance, but it is one of my favorites. For its beautiful animation, amazing characters, and great scenery, Hercules is etched into my head as one of the greatest heroes of all time, just like he was etched into the stars. Now, the first reason I think Hercules is such a good character is something that irks the historical side of me. In Greek mythology, Hercules is a demigod who had a human mother, but he wasn't a full on god who lost his power like we see here. But in this film, Hercules started out as a god and was cheated of his life as a god, and it makes the story a lot more interesting. Many times when we see the creation of the hero trope, our main character normally comes from nowhere but has a prophecy about them and needs to rise up. Here, Hercules was somebody to start with. His birth was celebrated by all the gods until he lost his luxurious life to Hades. It is far worse that Hercules lost his life as a god, became forgotten and bullied, and then needed to rise up, than simply becoming some random peasant rising up. It gives her good internal struggle because throughout the film, he wants to fit in, and when he finds out about his backstory that he was a god, he has reason to think he doesn't fit in. His goal to be a god is a quest to dissociate from his life, to rise above humans instead of learn how to become one and become with them. It, it isn't healthy because he was stuck in a bubble of thinking he didn't fit in, where he didn't realize when he started to fit in. So when he realizes what he wants is to become human, to be with Meg, the thing he was disassociating from for all his life, it's much more powerful that he wants to become a human after becoming a god instead of starting out as human, wanting to be god, and then like, no, I'm fine as human. It makes him look humble and someone who started and became human, and instead of a man who wanted greatness, then chose to stay the same. It made Hercules as a character much more compelling than if he stayed true to the original mythology. I like how Hercules wants to be a hero as opposed to most stories nowadays, where it's the main character coming to terms with the fact that they have to become a hero. It is a breath of fresh air compared to every other hero story of a hero needing to accept being a hero, great power, great responsibility, you have to rise up. While here, that power becoming a hero is something that Hercules actively seeks. Another thing about the film, which I really enjoy, is that we get a perfect mix of Hercules' backstory as well as his time as a hero. In many origin films, we normally get most like a week. We get at most a week before the character's life as a hero, and then like a month after at most. And in others, we're just thrown into the hero at their full strength, and there's not really an in between. Here we see from the moment Hercules was born until his life as a hero had ended and he retired. From the moment he was born until he started his hero journey was probably 15 minutes and his training was 5 minutes, but it gives us enough time to get a good feel on what his life was like before being a hero, and not too much where it felt like it was slowing down the entire story. It's a perfect balance of having no backstory and just completely going into the backstory. Hercules' life before the training with Phil did feel like an important part of the story. Without that, we wouldn't care nearly as much, and like I stated earlier, it feels like a natural part of the film that continues on after that moment. The film shows off all of Hercules' life, which makes it feel like nice in film, which normally is just a snapshot of a character's life. Of course, we don't see every moment of Herc's existence, but we get a sense of everything that happened, and we have a wide enough range in time where we can easily fill in the gaps. It's nice to have the complete story of his life from god to child to hero, which is delivered to us with perfect pacing. The final detail that makes Hercules a perfect hero story is its setting. All hero stories are either modern day or medieval nowadays. We never get a story of caveman becoming hero or Zeus defeating Kronos. Of course, there are exceptions, and every once in a while we get a fresh location for heroes, but 99 times out of 100, it is fantasy medieval or modern day, and just seeing the same locations get boring. You can only see so many fights on a highway or a skyscraper roof or in front of a castle. The same locations get oversaturated so much in media where it's no longer cool to see two guys fight on horseback anymore. But Hercules takes place in ancient Greece and sticks to it. The film makes great use of the Greek environment and all the myths that fall under its umbrella. It takes advantage of its special location and uses plot points, not just gimmicks. Another great thing about this film is it will reference modern day occurrences, then make it into an ancient thing. You hear Earhart, and it sounds like some sneaker joke, but it's sandals. You hear it loud whooshing noise like brr, 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 and you think of a helicopter, but it's just Pegasus flapping his wings weirdly. It provides for several hilarious jokes, and it makes sure that the story sticks strictly inside of the time period, and if it wants to reference modern pop culture, it doesn't feel out of place, and it needs to work to get it, so it can't just rapid fire pop culture references as funny. Hercules is an amazing Disney film, which works as a perfect example of a hero story by subverting tropes, trying new ideas, and it avoids falling for the trap most action heroes and manages to stay interesting. That's all I have to say. What do you think about Hercules? Is he a good hero? And what other Disney films should I cover next? All that and more, leave in the comments down below. If you want to see how Encanto makes low stakes stories work, make sure to check out this video. Subscribe for more videos about Disney films and TV shows like The Owl House and Gravity Falls. Once again, I've been Fictional Fanatics, dressed up as Hercules. I know, I look great. And until the next one,